Hi, everyone. Welcome to Making Austin Rye. Today we're ripping open track number 1 on the album. And yes, this song is about lust.
I could barely breathe. I could hardly wait.
You're about to hear the raw story behind track number 1, Wax Trap Fire. So turn it up. Let's go. Hey there, Clinton Bonner here, and welcome back to Making Austin Rye, where I'm releasing a full rock album, 11 tracks in total, with the creative help of AI. The songs are all real and written by real people, initially recorded by real people, and now performed by our AI rocker, Austin Rye. If you're new here, hit subscribe, like, turn on those notifications as we're releasing a brand new track and behind the scenes making of track basically every week for 11 straight weeks, maybe a 12th. I don't know yet. We'll see. Probably 11. So today's track is Wax Trapped Fire. And what better way to describe the track than to ask AI to describe the track? This is what Grok had to say about our opener. Wax Trapped Fire is a sultry, atmospheric indie rock track that captures the intoxicating rush of lust and forbidden desire. Go on, Grok. Go on. Wax Trap Fire was initially called Wax Drove Fire, and there's a funny story as to why the title changed, and I'll get into that later in this video. It was written around 2006 as part of my band Your Famous Friends with my buddies Brian Mello Wilcox and Jim Anastasio, who you were introduced to in the introduction video. What's cool about this song and why it was an obvious opening track is that you get to hear the personality of Mello's syncopated guitar and the proggy roots that he certainly had in the way he played. And you hear it right away in the album. Kind of Mello's calling card, really cool stuff. The song drives with energy, yet this version has this secretive, near whispery tone that just makes it sound kind of, I don't know, dangerous and certainly a little thrilling too. As an original song back in 2006, we tinkered with multiple versions. We rewrote both the verses and the bridges, but there was a part that never changed, and that was the hook.
So no apology is ever needed for me.
We found a more streamlined verse that allowed the lyrics to shine through and found our way to this open and haunting bridge that we really loved.
Well, I guess you're right.
So this is the first track that I messed around with using Suno AI, and I learned a lot. This was at the very beginning of the project before I even had Austin's persona down. So I did what many do with AI. I just started tinkering. In Suno, I learned that you really do have plenty of credits to experiment with at that pro plan. And at less than like $100 for an entire year, which, you know, is pretty bonkers. Let's be honest, there was plenty of room for experimentation, which I was grateful for. One of the dials, as you're trying to create different versions of the song you can manipulate, is something called Weirdness inside Suno. So I was cranking that up and down, like to varying levels and listening to versions of the track. Things were cool. It was getting there, but it wasn't quite right yet. Then I learned where you could dial in the style and manually type in the sound that you're after. So you could kind of groove on something and then add more prompts to it. So anyway, I was feeding it different prompts until I found something vocally and stylistically that I really, really liked. And when I used this specific combination, something kind of just clicked. I typed in these words: indie folk, stripped indie, guitar, vocal harmonies, raw indie. And like I said, something just kind of fell into place. And you know it when you hear it.
In a cool white room, you're absolute.
The track ended up having this like super minimalist, nearly Billie Eilish thing happening. And it wasn't my initial intention, but once I heard it, I was hooked. In fact, I kind of realized too late that some of the original words that Suno, heard it from the track, they actually were misrepresentations of my original lyrics. For example, in the original, the line is actually "We're shadows in a wax drove fire." The whole song is called Wax Drove Fire, but now it became Wax Trap Fire. And I was trying to change that. I tried to manually change the lyrics inside Suno, and it just was not working. I tried to create new versions of this track where I was like prompting it. I was like, don't change anything but these words. but it just wasn't working. It kept on changing kind of the tone and the fabric, and I could never get back to that original thing that Suno had created, which I was like rapidly falling in love with. So I had this version with these misrepresented lyrics, but it was the better version. I spent like several hours of trial and a lot of error, and I burned through a lot of credits in the process, and I was kind of frustrated. I actually had to put the song down for a bit and start other tracks, thinking I'd be able to learn something along the way and kind of come back and fix it. But you know what? Like after a while, it just became wax trapped fire. I couldn't get it back to wax drove fire, and I was good with it. I was good with the outcome, and I was good with the lesson learned to double check your lyrics before you hit the create button inside Suno, because sometimes AI has a little bit of a mind of its own, especially if your upload and audio quality isn't fantastic to begin with. And mine certainly was not. It was a live version, I think a performance in 2008. However, nice and early, I did learn how to create and save this persona, this voice in Suno, and then I could apply this persona and this setting for all the other tracks I was about to go do on the album. This was really cool because at that point, kind of Austin Rye was actually born. She now had a vocal style, and I could carry that through into the rest of the tracks. Musically, while the track had some Billie Eilish vibes, it was also bringing through for me some very raw, aggressive, nearly like violent femme stuff. And I really enjoyed what Suno had created here. It was just cool. I mentioned Mello's syncopated guitar throughout, and I really enjoyed that sound, but for me, the hooks and the lyrics make this song really kind of special. The chorus reads, "The door will creak, so slide in silently before you change your mind. So no apology is ever needed from me. We're shadows in a wax trap fire."
The door will creak, so slide in silently.
The song doesn't hide its intent, yet it's closer to the Beatles saying, "I want to hold your hand," than it is saying what like maybe Nine Inch Nails was getting at in a very famous track of theirs, if you know what I'm saying. All right, that's the full story behind track number 1, Wax Trapped Fire, off of Austin Rye's debut album, Love Like Blind. Go listen to the full song right now. Link is in the description, pinned comment, and it's on screen, so go listen. If you love it, drop a like, drop a comment, tell me your favorite part, and subscribe so you don't miss next week's track. And if you got any questions about the AI process, ask them in the comments. I read every single one, and I love sharing what I learned about this stuff. I will see you next week for track number 2, In a Race. And this one is cool because while most of the tracks were written in 2006, this track was written in 2026. Here's a 6-second sneak peek right now of In a Race. I hope you like it. Bye for now.
She could have been right now.